Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. We're going to go ahead and just call this X of Swords the after patch notes. Okay. Uh, the main reason why I'm doing this, I really wasn't planning on doing this originally, but what ended up happening is I had the interview with Jay. Then I've had some computer problems. Then I got the video processed to audio, and I had my X of Swords event, and so now it's like, okay, I have a different understanding of some things. Definitely after watching one of my locals, Sean, open up a case, and I was going to buy a case as well, and I'm sort of mixed about the whole affair. And there's some things that I think, product wise, everyone should know before they sort of go any further. All right, first thing with the product, standard Wiz Kids Fair, you can have broken sculpts and everything else. But when we played our sealed, we ended up in a situation where there were two chases out of one case, two chases, and no primes at all. No primes at all. Which at first you're like, that's not too awesome. Which I would make the argument is probably the best case that you're going to get. Now, I know that sounds very, very weird, but hear me out when I say this. The bigger problem that ended up happening is from the seal is when you notice like you don't have any primes, and we also only had in that situation two weapons get drawn out of a case. So two swords out of a case. Yeah. So that's not too hot. All right. Then going into after the event, one of Sean's case, he ended up with one chase, one prime, four weapons, but he had doubles of two weapons. Okay. And the doubles of the two weapons were in the same brick. Okay, so he had a chase and prime in one brick, no swords, and then the other sword, no chase, no prime, but four swords. Doubling up on two of them. Okay, that is really, really, really bad. That's really, really, really bad. Okay. Mainly of which is that to have a situation where you're buying seal product where it was even distributionally possible for you to just have that many of the same weapon inside of a brick is ugh. Now, I know some of you would say, but we had that in ABPI where you had a chance of, if you got a case where you could have gotten, double mind gem or blah 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 blah, that was possible. And yeah, that was possible. That happened to me out of a case. But the thing that I would make the argument was those mind gems were in two different bricks, not in the same brick. Okay. What does this mean sort of going into worlds? Number one, it means that you can have an event, a SEAL team, in which a person a team straight up has four swords, and everybody that's running X-Men or running whatever team they're running has a sword. Okay, so that is possible. It is also completely possible for you to have no swords. No swords at all. Okay. The next problem that we encountered were the tarot cards. So I will say this: if Worlds sticks to 2 boosters per player and not a case per team, not a case per team, there is fundamentally almost no way a team can run a tarot deck unless there was some weird shifting of the boosters. And even then, out of all the teams at Worlds, I would make the argument that you're only going to see maybe one team that is even lucky enough to come close to making a tarot deck. And here's why. All right, so you have your major arcana, you have your 4 main suites, okay? When we're opening up brick 1 of Sean's case, there was a suite missing. So he had, I think it was swords, cups. No, 2 suites missing. He had swords and cups. And he had no pinnacles and wands. Okay? So I think it's like he had 2 arcana, 2 cups, and a sword. Because you're getting about 5 cards per... you're getting 5 cards per brick. So 10 cards in a case. All right. Then, when we opened up the other brick, he ended up getting, I think, 1 arcana. 1 arcana, 2 wands, 2 cups. Yeah, 1 arcana, 1 arcana, one, I think, I forgot, one was like a page or something. Anyway, but just pretty much between the 2 bricks, he could have made a deck. All right. Now, some of you might say, all right, well, that's pretty cool. Out of a sealed out of a sealed case, he was able to make a deck. Where I'm concerned for you, the buyer, is that if you get what I would call like a sloppy case, where it's half of one case and half of another, or you don't know if those 2 cases are anywhere sort of associated with each other. And we do know that clone there, in that situation, getting a clone brick is extremely high. But buddy, yeah, it's not a good day for you. Okay, if you're trying to get into the tarot card game cheap. All right, the next problem that comes in with the tarot cards is that the tarot cards are bending really easily, just how they're put in there. Open, pristine case, no squeezing, nothing. Bent tarot cards, easily marked tarot cards. Okay, and that is where I found a very distinct problem. Okay, because this is a mechanic that we're trying to use, and so the quality of card that they've gotten is not flexible, doesn't work well for the boosters, and are easily markable. And I would make the argumentation that anyone that doesn't have sleeves is cheating. And that's just the honest truth. If you don't have sleeves for your tarot card deck, or you see people playing without sleeves with a tarot card deck, they're cheating. And that leads into the next problem. A standard store is not going to carry sleeves that are tarot card sized. The size of the tarot cards are larger, way larger, than any standard size card deck that we have. And so you're now dealing with having to go online and buy specialty sleeves for your tarot card deck. Okay. Uh, and that to me is, I mean, it's going to be a mandatory cost. But the fact that WizKids, with all the props that they're selling, they didn't think like, yeah, we need to have sleeves offered so that we can run this mechanic. Okay, so yeah, like this is going to be a show. And this is going to cause a lot of major problems just from a product perspective. And I know there's X of Swords Wave 2 where we're going to get more cards and potentially more swords and other things along that nature. And that's fine. But as we are seeing right now, the distribution is bonk. Okay. In terms of the tarot cards, they are not presented in they're not made in any worthwhile decent material. Our overall just play that we're dealing with revolving around the tarot cards, the mechanics are sort of craptastic. And we'll get into that later, but the main preview to that is you do not have a discard deck. You do not have, sorry, a discard pile. All card games have a deck, an active effect, and a discard. You don't have a discard pile, and that causes problems. And there are draw problems that come into play with tarot, which lets you know that they didn't do some things properly. So anyway, this is the little like note to be added on to X of Swords. This isn't like meant to be a super long show, but I do want you all to sort of tread lightly when it comes to this. I think there are like buying sealed is probably going to be the cheapest way of getting product and then selling dupes like as fast as you can onto the secondary market so that you can try to get some of your money back to lose cost. I mean to save on cost. If you have no interest in higher rarities, I'm going to tell you like this set should be really, really easy for you to get a CUR relatively cheap. At the other end, I think we're entering, for those who lived during that time, War of Light prices for some of these figures, especially Mad Jim Jaspers. Like that's $300 easy. Once it's $300, it might drop down to $250, but he's clearly broke strong. So if you pull that, you might want to think real quick, like, all right, like, that's another case. That's if you sell it, like that's another case. Also, like the cost of the case and brick is really high for realistically not much value gained out of a case, because you can buy a brick and not get swords. Like that's just wrong. So that's it. Again, thank you all for listening, and remember, we all have to start over sometime.